press it. So first of all, I need to apologise and welcome to Matchroom's Frank Smith. This is not live. This is pre-recorded. I've got to apologise to Frank because yesterday we were having such a wonderful conversation and my camera, it just died again and I lost all of the footage. So thank you so much, Frank, for agreeing to do this.
Don't worry, no problem. It probably wasn't that interesting yesterday anyway from me.
But it was. I was really enjoying it because we got to speak so much about it. And obviously, you know, to try and pick up where we left off, it's not going to have that magic and pizzazz. So I've got to switch it up now. But we're going to go back to the next gen card. And we were talking about the fight that you're really looking forward to the most on that card.
I hope, fortunately, maybe I've changed my answer from yesterday.
Good, because nobody knows because you haven't got it anymore.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't. Maybe one day you'll find it in the archives. The main event's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be a tear up from the first bell. Liam Dillon, Reece Bellotti. You know, Reece Bellotti on a tremendous run of form. Liam Dillon, a brilliant fighter, and his opportunity to really step out and, you know, on the big platform and build from here. So I think the main event's going to be amazing. You know, great undercard as well. You obviously got Shannon Ryan fighting for her first title. Two undefeated fighters going in together there. That's a brilliant fight. Cameron Vong's back out, who is a star for the future for us. Someone we believe is going to, you know, be in the sport for a long time and, you know, deliver some massive nights for us as a business. Craig Richards back as well. We spoke about yesterday. This thing I do remember is, although not very next gen, it's the next gen of the next gen of his career. So he's. You
didn't say that yesterday. You're getting sharper with these.
Yeah, it's because if I do it twice, then I get better the second time around. I rehearse it the first time and do it again. But it was a date that made perfect sense for Craig Richards. You know, we needed to get him out. We're working on some big fights for this year, but he needed a fight before that. He's been out the ring for 19 months, I believe it is. So, you know, before having a big fight, he needed a fight like this. So that's perfect. John Hedges, another guy, back out after a long time out the ring as well. And then a stack before the bell as well. You got Emmanuel, you got Jack on there on the card, and Ibrahim Spider Suleiman as well. So stacked next gen card from top to bottom.
Yeah, you got a couple of Brummies on there. The headline, you know, you've got two well-known. We're going to take it to the center of the ring and we're going to go at it. The type of headlines that us Brits, we do like watching the tear-ups. The coaches might not agree with some of the stuff that they're doing, but the fans on one of them sat at home screaming at the screen, excited to see what they can bring. Talk to us about the matchmaking with Dillon and Bellotti.
Yeah, look, obviously British and Commonwealth titles is what people love to see. It was a fight that was actually ordered. You know, I'd love to say we made it up and it was a fight we put together. It was a fight that was ordered by the British Boxing Board of Control, and a tremendous fight, and one that we were really excited to do when it came around. You know, and they were both. The good thing about both guys, they were active, they were ready. You know, this show was originally supposed to be the Cyrus Patterson against Conor Walker rematch. We changed it in the last 3 weeks or so to be this is the main event. So great to see both guys ready and a brilliant main event to top the bill.
One of the things you mentioned there is Cameron Vong, and I know we touched on this yesterday. We often see these fighters that are coming through and they're really giving show-stopping performances as debutants, as the fresh meat in boxing, the ones with the amateur standout pedigree. Cameron Vong, talk to us a little bit about him, because it's like, do we get behind the fighters too much early in the beginning? And it's like, do we need to calm down a bit, you know, with these fresh crop of fighters?
I think, look, it's all driven by their confidence as well. You know, you look at someone like Cameron Vong. He's confident not just in the ring, but outside the ring as well. He's got the looks, he can talk the talk, and when he gets in the ring, he delivers. You know, at the end of the day, you can have all the personality in the world, but if you can't fight, you're going to be limited as to where you can go. But Cameron's got all of the skill set you need to get to where we believe he can get to. I think the key is, in the short term, is sort of keeping some reins on him, because he'd want to move as quick as anyone. You know, he's talking about already what the next fight after this that's been spoken about a lot, but he's got to focus on what's ahead of him. He's got a good team around him, though. You know, we're both with Jamie and Nigel, who have been in the sport a long time and can help him, and a good stable of fighters as well. You know, he works a lot with Jack Catterall, who, you know, he does a lot of sparring with Jack Catterall, but I'm sure they keep him level-headed. But it's the kind of thing he needs, because it's quite easy to get sort of carried away, as you say, in this sport, and then, you know, a result doesn't go your way, and then you're not where you thought you'd be. But, you know, I think he's in a tremendous position, and he's got a lot to look forward to. But it's early stages. But what we are seeing is the type of opponents he's going in with. He wants to move quickly.
We were talking about Craig Richards being on the next gen, but like you said, it's like almost like the second part of his career, a fighter that I always see at every single Matchroom show, always there supporting all the fighters. He was one of these that backed everybody else, but then he kind of like disappeared into the background. Yes, we had injury, etc. But talk to us about Craig, and obviously he's moved trainers after being with Peter Sims for what, 8 years, and he's moved trainer. So I don't know. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, look, I think Craig's a tremendous fighter, and we've seen, you know, he's the one guy who's always taken the test when other light heavyweights wouldn't take the test. You know, he went in there against Dimitri Bivol, who
He
we
did.
know a lot of people turned down that fight. Craig Richards was up for it, jumped in there, and he gave him a brilliant fight. It was a close fight. You know, Joshua Buatsi, another close fight as well. So he's never shied away from a challenge. He wants the big fights. Even on Saturday, when you think he's had 19 months out the ring, he's going in there against Boris, who, you know, I think, again, in the Lyndon Arthur fight, took that fight on just a day's
Short
notice.
notice, yeah.
He gave him a real test, you know, but that's the kind of fight he needs to set him up for the fights we're looking at this year and the latter part of this year. But yeah, I think the change of trainer, you know, he had a great relationship with Peter Sims. I'm sure he still does, you know, and still has that, you know, personal relationship. But I think a change of trainer can be good for fighters, and I think he'll learn a lot. You know, I think he's already said, just in the short time he's been with Shane, he's learned a lot, he's developed a lot, and will continue to develop over a period of time as well.
You mentioned, but it's something that we touched on yesterday. I spoke to Shane McGuigan. Obviously, he's there for Craig, but obviously, I'm going to speak to him about Caroline Dubois. I had a conversation with Eddie last week that explained about, you know, doing the right thing for Rhiannon, which was another route. Basically saying, yeah, we don't think that was the best fight for Rhiannon, putting his hands up and like admitting that, which to me is honorable, because you can make up a thousand excuses, but he said, no, it wasn't the right fight. The team and I decided to go another route. But then what happened was the IBF then ordered Beatrix, or Caroline versus Beatrix, and then obviously offers that went silent. But when I spoke to Shane yesterday, Shane was saying that Beatrix was in the 130, and then all of a sudden she's popping up in the 135, and then we're getting fights ordered. She weren't there before. So what's that about, kind of thing?
She wants to
Ignore.
challenge for world titles, and there's an opportunity to challenge for a world title in the 135 division, and we believe she's ready to do that. So the opportunity was there. That's the IBF rules. She moved up in the rankings in that weight division, and had that opportunity. You know, and I don't know what the reasons were with Caroline. You know, Caroline obviously fought, and it's the IBF rules that if you have if you're ordered for a title and then announce a fight subsequent to that, then you're removed from that position. So, you know, we represent Beatrice. We're going to do the best thing for Beatrice Ferreira. We don't represent Caroline Dubois. Now, we would love to have done that fight with Caroline Dubois. I'm sure it's a fight that can happen down the road. You know, Beatrice will go and challenge for the world title now, and then she's obviously got the huge Olympics this year coming up as well. You know, so she's in a great position, but I'm sure there's big fights. Those big fights can be made down the road as well.
Adam Azim and your fighter Dalton Smith also were, you know, we saw the EBU that was put out, like, yep, if we can't get to an agreement, once again, purse bids. There was a bit of to-in and fro-in, there was a bit of deletion, and then there was a bit of backwards and forwards with that. I mean, talk to us about that and how that came into fruition, and what's going to happen with that fight. And are we going to have this, like, what seems to be all the time with Matchroom and Boxer, like this purse bid gate? I'm going to
Yeah, I
start
mean,
calling
look,
it purse bid gate.
I mean, look, we've never pulled out of a purse bid involving Boxer. We've never pulled a fighter out of a purse bid that we've lost involving Boxer. Like, it's just not what we do. We want to deliver the best possible opportunities for our fighters. If that means going to a purse bid, if that means them earning money on another show, great. If that means going over to away territory, getting a big win, and then coming back, perfect. Purse bids are great. It gives the fighters the maximum value for that particular fight. So it's great to see. There was a lot of talk about the Dalton Smith Adam Azim fight. It wasn't a fight we ordered. It was a fight ordered by the EBU. Dalton Smith had worked his way into a position with the EBU, which then meant he was the mandatory challenger for Adam Azim. If Adam Azim doesn't want to defend his title against Dalton Smith, then he can vacate that title. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can see that fight. Dalton, though, has got his focus on March 23. He's got a real step-up fight, a much higher level right now against Cepeda. A tough fight there, but it just shows the levels he and the team believe he's at and where he's going to go to. But I think let's get that out of the way. Let's get that fight done. Adam Azim also has the Ramadan period, so I don't think there's any issue with looking to delay the bids, from both sides, because it makes sense, but not make the fight happen, if that makes sense. But let's see. We as always, we're up for every fight. We'll do as our fighter tells us, and Dalton Smith wants that fight. And whatever platform it's on, if it delivers the best possible opportunities for the fighters, fair play to them. But it's a massive fight.
Something in boxing that's happening, and we mentioned that a possible vacuum being left in the UK because we've got this magical thing happening with Saudi, with, like I said, with Turkey Al Sheikh, pulling people into a room like, I'm the headmaster, you're the children, you will do as you're told, and if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. We're getting that. But we talk about the promoters working together. I mentioned it yesterday about Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, practically singing Kumbaya together. They're now friends. They're now working together. That money really does talk. And I love it. I'm happy to see it. We've got Wasserman working together, Matchroom working together, Frank Warren working together. And albeit I do know that we had Martin Bacoli on a Saudi show, but the promoter that seems to be like left out of the loop is Boxer. I know you're not a representative for Boxer. I know that. I've tried to get Ben Shalom on the channel, but as of yet, I've had no joy with that. Working together, all of the 4 key UK promoters, and we're talking about the televised ones, the big promoters. Can you see that happening, that relationship starting to forge with yourselves and Boxer, and maybe getting them included out there as well in some of the fights?
Look, when it comes to Saudi, it's not our position to decide who fights out there, who's represented out there. Turkey Al Sheikh, His Excellency, he's a huge boxing fan. He wants to make fights that people want to see. He's doing that. We've seen that with the shows he's delivered and will continue to deliver. They're, amazing fights. It's not aligned to promoters, as you've mentioned there. I think or even the December 23rd show, there was 12 promoters involved in that event. So in no way is it, in my opinion, in no way, it's not my position to say, but trying to look to keep promoters out. It's about making the best possible fights between the best possible fighters. That's all it comes down to, which is great to see and only great for the sport. We've spoken for a long time about the politics in the sport. This has been great because it's removed that. But there was always an element of working together, whether it was John Ryder fighting Zach Parker on BT.
Baumgardner.
Baumgardner on the, we did that deal with Top Rank. It was on a boxer show. Dalton Smith when he fought on the undercard of a boxer show, when we had the purse bid situation. We're not adverse to working with other people. We've always worked with other people. We work with Golden Boy, work with Top Rank, work with PBC. We work with everyone, and we'll continue to do so. So it's not really, there's no real change in a sense of ability to work together. We will always do that. I think the change is the relationship more than anything, especially with the Saudi element, has been actually coming together and showing that we can sit in a room together and have conversations. That probably wasn't there in the past. There was a lot of shit, my language, that went on back and forth in these things, and things were said by both sides, about all different people. And I'm sure with other promoters that will always continue. It's been around for years. It's probably not going anywhere, but at least if we can sit and have a conversation, it means it's beneficial for the sport and making the best possible fights moving forward.
We talk about moving forward, and correct me, I can't actually quote the tweets that I saw that are on X, the X that I saw. There's some suggestion that Jai Pattaya may have suffered injury also in his camp in preparation for, I believe the date's obviously been put back now, but is there any light that you can shed on that at all, or is that just rumour mill?
He was looking at to box on a later date, possibly for after beyond February 17th. Obviously, that happened at the same time. I think it was an interview with Spencer yesterday. It was all at the concurrent same time as the Tyson Fury injury. I don't believe they've announced the rescheduled. They may have announced the rescheduled undercard. Hopefully, the plan is Opetaia against Breedis on there. It's a brilliant fight. It was a great fight the first time round, and a massive fight. Look, Opetaia is a special fighter. But yeah, hopefully some news soon on that.
I've got to ask, Ben Whitaker's mentioned on the MMA Fight Hour, so credit to Ariel Helwani on that. He asked him about potential movement with his career. Ben Whitaker's really passionate about wanting to fight in America, wanting to fight abroad. You've seen the momentum that he's gathered. That superstar potential, somebody that's able to promote himself just basically off what he does. Would I ask, I mean, if you could shed any light on it, would you be interested in signing Ben Whitaker? I know you was interested in the Olympians at the start when they all came out of the 2020. Is Ben Whitaker a fight that you'd obviously legally put a bid in for? Nudge, nudge.
Yeah, we're not the kind of people who are going to go after fighters under contracts and cause legal issues. Not our business.
I was waiting for that.
No, it's not. It's not what we do. We're not going to. We don't do it. We're not going to start doing it. Ben Whitaker's a tremendous talent. We were very close to doing something with him originally. That we're the only global boxing promoter there is who's promoting events all around the world, week in, week out. We're in Mexico next week. Then we're in Orlando. Then the week after that, we've obviously got Saudi with AJ and some undercard fights on there. Then we're in Sheffield. Then we go to Japan. We're all over the place, and that's the kind of to build Ben Whitaker into a global superstar, he needs a global promoter. And I don't know what his plans are. I don't know what his contract is. He's doing a great job on his own of building himself into a global star. Social media is great for that. And I'm sure he's going to do very well. He's got some hard fights ahead of him. The British public are tough because they say they want characters, they say they want entertainers, then they do it, and then it's very hard to please people. But he's doing everything he needs to do, and whether you like him or hate him, you're going to watch him. And that, as we've seen over the years with some of the best fighters around, that's what's been key to them becoming superstars. So look, Ben Whitaker's got huge potential. Good luck to him, and good luck in his career. Whatever he chooses to do, and whoever he chooses to do that with, he's got some big nights ahead, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so finally from you then, for our British public, the public that can't necessarily get out to Saudi, we see that you've got a nice spring schedule with two of those cards, being in the UK. Some really good fights lined up. So thank you for that. Are you going to really start to drill down on hosting more fights in the UK? Just so there's not that vacuum, because people can look and see that there's a gap in the market. Now let's, get into this. Let's manipulate this. Let's take over this. The only promoter that continuously does, even though he's involved in Saudi, is Frank Warren. Frank Warren really does churn out the shows for us British fans. So in light of that, moving forward for the summer quarter, we've had spring. When are we going to get that summer quarter announcement? And what kind of fights can we expect from Matchroom?
Look, I think we've got a tremendous run of shows. You got Dalton Smith against Zepeda on March 23 with the undercard. You got Sandy Ryan, Terry Harper on there, which is a brilliant fight as well. April 13th, we've got Jordan Gills, Alpha Barrett is a brilliant main event. Working on some other bits for April as well, and May and June. Working on some big shows. Look, we know the pressures, and we know we need to deliver big fights in the UK. I think the Saudi the huge involvement of His Excellency in Saudi is great because it's delivering massive fights that maybe otherwise wouldn't have been made, or wouldn't have been made in the right time frame. So they're doing a tremendous job with that, and I think it's good for the sport of boxing. It's only going to grow the sport of boxing, but as you say, we also know we need to continuously deliver big nights in the UK, and we're working on some big nights now, and hopefully some news soon on that.
What a positive way to end the conversation, Frank. I can't appreciate this enough. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. All the best for the weigh-in. All the best on fight night. And no doubt I'll speak to you soon, Frank.
Thanks very much.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.